Hey, it's Brian Mudd. This is my cheat sheet for Wednesday, January 30th. So, yesterday, the question I addressed pertained to an unfortunate divorce situation that a woman is going through, and she wanted advice on how to understand how to take control of her own finances again because hasn't been responsible for that throughout her entire marriage, which spanned many years. Well, the question, and I received it on the same day actually as the other one, was somebody that's getting ready to get married, and I wanted to address this one today. It's a gentleman who is preparing to get married, and he's wanting to know what the best way to combine finances is when getting married. By the way, what I'm going to talk about here could apply even if you're struggling with happiness and finances in your current marriage. Now, the first thing I'll say is that the best way is somewhat subjective. The best way is going to be determined by how you and your spouse react to money. The one thing I will tell you right off the bat, though, is look, the number one reason why people still get divorced is money. So getting this one right and getting it right as quickly as possible will help you in having success with your marriage beyond any other thing that you can do. And I'll give you some thought starters. I'll give you a couple principles I believe in, and then I'll give you some thought starters for execution on it. And where the execution is, that'll be a little bit subjective in how you and your spouse react to it. The first thing is to have both of you aware of the finances. One of the bigger mistakes that I believe is made is that oftentimes there's a leader in the household when it comes to finances, either you or your wife. And the other party pretty much advocates responsibility and doesn't really watch it. And that's where the person who's managing the finances actively can be inclined towards frustration. If you go out and you spend money that maybe you shouldn't have, or that stresses the person that's paying the bills out, well, that's where you can begin to have strain. So the first thing is, I believe that when you pay bills, you should do it together, even if the other person doesn't like it so much, just so they're aware of what the actual bills are, how much has to be paid. Another principle, create a nice little spreadsheet. Real simple. It could just be all of your residual bills, your utility payment, your mortgage, your rent payment, your car payments, just all of your monthly bills. Have them there, and then have what the average payment of those bills is, so you can see every month how big that nut is you have to crack, and then pay the bills together. Okay, so those are the two principles. Now, on execution, how do you go about this? One of the things that I've done that has been effective in my marriage is everything has its place. We have all the bills that obviously get paid, and we do that together. Then the other piece of it is we will have accounts where a certain amount of money goes. For example, I'm an investor, so I want to make sure that we are actively investing on an ongoing basis. So X amount of money that we've both agreed on will be allocated every month towards investment. Okay? What about the fun things? Well, we have an account set up with the debit card for Ashley where an X amount per month that we've agreed to goes into that account. And she can spend it on whatever she wants, no questions asked, and that way there's no stress from either one of us, no frustration from her if she wants to buy something, no frustration from me that she's being frivolous, right? Because she has it there and it's available. And if she wants a bigger ticket item, she can save money over the course of time in that account to buy that bigger ticket item. Then we have a separate account. We have a separate account that will go towards bigger ticket items. Let's say maybe a car or updating on a house or something of that nature. And there's a certain amount of money that goes into that account every month, and that will accumulate until we agree to spend it on something. And then there's the other piece, and this could be, depends on if you have debt, depends on how much debt you have. There's a piece that we have every month that would go towards debt reduction. And that way you're working on all fronts. At first, especially in a young marriage, you might not have enough extra money to go around all those accounts, or if you do, it might not be a whole lot of money. But just to give you an idea on the structure, that's one of the ways that I think you can get it done by having a place for everything, having money that's accounted for that you both agree to. You pay the bills, everybody understands, and you minimize the frustration over finances in the marriage. And of course, remember, especially when we're starting out in the marriage, have that rainy day fund. 3 months worth of money is what I'd like to have just set aside in case something comes out of left field, or in the worst case scenario, one of you loses your job. All right, let me hit some other things real quick. Broad-based housing recovery. Just how broad-based was the housing recovery in 2012? Well, the Case-Shiller Index, the most recent one we have, shows that in 2012, 19 of the 20 largest metro areas did show price recovery. Our region, which is hubbed out of Miami, showed an average 9.9% price increase for 2012 through the end of November, which was one of the stronger in the country. The only metro that was negative out of the 20 largest in 2012 was New York, which is down just over 1%. So indeed, the housing recovery was broad-based, with our region being one of the better performers in the entire country. And here's something that's a little bit interesting to tie into that. Housing recovery has been playing out, right? But home ownership rates are actually slightly declining. We actually saw the home ownership rate dip by just under 1% last year, even while the housing market was recovering, right? So what gives? Well, you know that more people, especially on the younger end, are wanting to rent rather than to buy a home. Plus, people are waiting until later in life before they get married. The average person who's getting married for the first time is now 31, nearly 32 years old. That compares to 28 just a decade ago. And consequently, a lot of people are putting off those buying decisions. So, what it shows you is that investors are playing a very big role, even in buying single-family homes, that more of which are actually being rented out. All right, more on the physical cheat sheet today, including Facebook. A couple stories about it, adding instant messaging and video to their app. And also the ability to ask their chief privacy officer a question, perhaps, and get a direct answer from the chief privacy officer. And there's more on there as well. That's the cheat sheet for today. Enjoy yours, and we will see you tomorrow.